So we're in our brand new laboratory down on the third floor parking level, and I want Larry Borgeson, our lab technician, to show you this next step in the process of creating your crown. He understands this much better than I do. This is something that he does all the time. And just preemptively before we go into it, because of what we do here at the school and all of the restrictions we have with HIPAA and just keeping patient information private, and with the number of patients we deal with, there are firewalls built into especially this system here because of all the patient information that's transferred. It greatly slows things down and just makes the process a lot more difficult than it is in real life. When you're in a situation where you don't have all of that baggage for the software to wade through, it goes much more quickly. And so don't think that this is the way it's going to be when you get outside and you're doing this in your own office or whatever office you end up in. It's a very quick process, and it is for the lab. This is the laboratory part of this process, and we're taking you through this so you understand what they do. And I think the idea behind that is that it will help you better do your part so that they can better do their part. And one of the things that I learn when I sit down and talk to Larry, I learn so much about the process that it helps me be a better dentist. And I want you to please take this advice, listen to your lab technician. They know what they're doing with their realm of this process. They're good at it, they do it all the time. And I want you to learn from them as much as you can, and it will make you a better dentist. So with that, we're gonna turn this over to Larry to show you the process of scanning your die, and then we'll go upstairs to the technique lab where you can do the design work. Take it away, Larry.
Okay, we're here to teach about the scanning and designing of a crown. But before we design or complete any crown, what we want to do is model verification and model orientation. So what we want to do is we want to equilibrate your model. If you can take a look at this model right here, and you can see there's a lot of play in the model directly from your impression from the typodont. To get rid of that play, what we want to do is equilibrate the model. All we're going to do is use this, and we're going to take some articulating paper, which is going to be thin articulating paper, and all you want to do is place that directly in between all the teeth and just gently touch and tap until you get your markings. You can see right now it's really only marking in 2 spots, and we want marks in a few different areas. So all we're going to do is take a sharp instrument, and we're going to just lightly scrape this model. And when I say lightly, we're just scraping off the color. Wherever that color is, we just literally remove the color directly from it. So once that's done once, I tend to do that a couple different times. I want to make certain that when I do this, that I'm getting a good solid surface in here. And right now I've got still movement. So I'm going to do that a second time. And all I'm going to do is place that articulating paper back in between the model, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just touch and tap and get the markings. But now you can start saying that there's markings now in multiple different areas. Right here in the centric occlusion, right there, and we're still getting some contact here. So we're going to just gently scrape that again. Again, we're barely taking anything off of this marking. So we're just literally scraping that color off in all different aspects. And when I say barely scraping, we're just creating a powder surface of removal. We're not cutting the material, we're not doing anything out of the ordinary. If you get something like some of this area that's jaggedy, then you can turn around, you can cut some of that area off that's not part of the tooth structure, just to make certain that's not causing the problems. But then we can do that again. And now we're getting a lot more contact. We're getting less play in here than what we had before. Another thing you can do is you want to be able to verify how your occlusion on your articulator is sitting, so you can take a look and see if you're getting good centric occlusion within all of your teeth. And you can verify that by going to your, if this was a real patient, you want to look at that and see if this is orientating correctly to your model. In the typodont version, it's sitting very, very close to what your model's sitting at now. So at that phase, we're actually done equilibrating the model, and now your crown will seat a lot better when it goes into the occlusion surface. So now that the equilibration of the model is completed, now we can go ahead and get the prescription filled out and get everything scanned in. So I'm going to just set that off to the side. And with the 3Shape software in here, all we're going to do is you're going to click on this prescription form right here, and you're just going to click on that. And this takes a little bit of time on this computer because of the firewall protections and everything else, so we're just waiting for that to open up. So here's what the prescription looks like once it's open. All we're going to do now is this is going to follow the same principle all the way through. What we're going to want to do is put the student's last name and the student's first name into the fields for identification. So what we're going to do is in this one, I'm going to actually add Dr. Mark Taylor's name because this is a case that he's going to be presenting through the class. So all we're doing is we're actually just filling the patient's last name out, patient's first name, and now we're completely done with that. Everybody's going to have the same tooth number, so all we have to do is choose what tooth it is. There's two different variations of doing it. If you know the tooth number right off the top of your head, 13, you can go right to tooth number 13 and actually click on it. If you just can't remember what tooth it is, you can actually hold the model up just like it is on the screen, and you can go visualization and you can just click on that tooth right there. It's the same process. Once that tooth is selected, we just have to wait for the little circle to complete here. There we go. It will highlight in red. All we're doing at this point in time, we're going to go up to anatomy right here on this tooth, and we're going to click on that full crown. What we're going to do at that point in time is click on the green plus sign, and we're going to choose what material it is. And what we're going to do is actually going to choose the Ivoclar IPS Emax Zircad MT. Doesn't really matter what material we're using. When we go to mill this, it's going to be milled out in zirconia. Second field we have to fill out is the shade field. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually choose MTA2. So everybody's crown is going to be an A2 shade. So we're going to click on the shade. We're going to choose on model because we're going to be scanning the model, and it's automatically going to have antagonist model, and then we're going to actually have that selected as sectioned. All of those are pre-filled out. You don't need to even touch those. So all we're going to do now is come down here where it says scan, and we're going to click on the scan button. And again, we're waiting on the field to catch up with us. And once that's done, it will actually close this down and it will actually open up the scan process. This just takes a few seconds to get through to the system. Once we're getting ready and that scanner is starting to sync, what we're going to do is we're going to take the upper model directly off of the articulator base just by sliding that up. And it's going to want to scan the very first model, should be the maxillary. And whenever you're dealing with that, right here, you're going to actually see on the section model how it fits into the scanner. At that point in time, what we're going to do is we're going to come to the scanner, we're going to open the door up, we're going to take this plate off of here, and with that, the best way to think of this is the buckle goes towards the back of the machine, and this has triangulation points, so the 2 points face you. All you're going to do is place that directly into the putty, and you're going to place that directly into the scanner. Once you close that door, it's automatically going to start to scan after a few seconds. It recognizes when the door is opened and closed. So now that we'll close the door, now we'll actually get the scan going. It will continue to scan and you'll see the image pop up. But the image that's going to be coming up is a very blank image. It's just kind of junky. All they're telling us to do now is we're going to mark what tooth number we're dealing with, and it's right here out of all that fragmentation. All we're going to do is click on it, and then we're going to left click and drag that circle around what we want the image to capture better. So all we did was paint that area, and we're going to hit next. Now it's going to be a sharper image than what we just had. All it did was take a preliminary and basic image so it knew where the confines of the boundaries are. And you'll see that it will be a lot cleaner the second scan. And the scanning only takes a few moments to be able to finish the scanning process. At the end of the scanning, we'll actually scan the individual die to capture a better image of the die itself. But you can see how much sharper that image is right now. And you can see there's some fault points. See how the margin is touching that tooth right there? That will be cleared up when we go to do the individual die scan. But for what we need, that's exactly what we're wanting. So once we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go into trim, and you're just going to left click on the trim. And what I want to do is get rid of all this excess material. Go into this plane cut right here, and all you're going to do is left click on one side, and you're going to draw it all the way across and click on that. And then what we're going to do is go into next. And all we're going to do is I'm going to leave this image up. I don't want to shut it down for right now because it could interfere with the scanning process. So I'm just going to leave it up, and you'll just have to imagine the scan underneath it. All we're going to do is open the door, and it's now telling us to choose lower model. So all we're doing is taking this out of the scanner, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take our lower model, and we're going to take the upper model off, place that back onto the articulator, and actually take the lower model off just by pulling that. It's the same principle, which is buckle to the back. Buckle to the back. It shows you exactly what to do based on this image to how this should be looking directly on that plate. That then plate gets turned in and placed directly into the scanner or so, and you're just going to close the door. Now once the door closes, the scanner will automatically start picking up that image, and it's going to do exactly the same thing as before, and it's going to just put a basic scan directly to it. I'm just going to remove that down, and I'm just going to highlight everything that I want scanned. My main concern are the teeth. So everywhere that's green, it's going to be a better image. Just click on next. Once next is done, it's going to create that sharper image. We're not going to do a third scan of the lower because of the fact there's no individual dies. So we want to make certain that this lower model looks very well at this stage. And you can rescan it, you can re-highlight if there's an area that you're really concerned with. Me, I care about the occlusion more than any other factor when it comes to my opposing model. Now, if you look at the opposing, you can see now that that matches this fairly well. Granted, it's 100 times the size, but it matches exactly what I'm looking for. So I've taken that out, the lower model, and I'll set that to the side. I will go to trim, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I just want to trim a lot of that excess away. It's on the plane cut. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to plane cut a lot of that off. You can see where it's shadowed, and that will just remove some of that material. And I can go into next now. This is where it's going to be placing the bite together. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your upper and lower models back together. You're going to take a rubber band, and what you want to do is you want to close the upper and lower model, and you need to rubber band these into a position where it's not going to interfere with the posterior or where that bite is. I like to go right to the front of the model or to the back, and I'll just tighten this down as tight as I can with the rubber band. And I will put that right at the front of my model as such, so it's not interfering with everything, but it's keeping the model nice and tight together. At that stage, you're just going to place it right back in the same way you did before, just as such, and you want the buckle to the back. So you're just going to place this articulator right back, and you want to verify your die is fully seated against your upper member of that plastic arch. So you're just going to do that, and you're going to place this right back into the scanner, and you're just going to close that door. Once the door is closed, it will actually feed that information right back to the actual computer. Sometimes it puts the articulation together correctly. A lot of times you have to align the articulation up based on manual correlation. Once that's done, you can open this back up, remove your model, just set that off to the side. Everything's done currently with every individual process. So here, it's actually come through and it says, is this the bite? And I think it is, but say probably 50% of these do not come through. You can manually correlate these, and you can say align manual, forward the lower. You can see the lower models there. I'm going to move this completely out of the way here and reopen this so I can see it. And what I want to do is I want to take my model and my bite together, and I can bring these up, and I want to create 3 points. So you're going to click on these 3 points right here off to the left. Now it allows you to manually place bite to model. So I create 3 points that are very distinctive, and why I can see distinctive here is this little groove and that groove. So I'm going to actually place 1 dot here, 1 dot there. I can see another distinctive area right here and here, so I want another dot there and another dot right there. Another distinctive point, and I like to go as far forward as I can. This image right here, there's a nice triangle right here and right here, so I'm going to place 1 dot and 1 dot. What it does is when you clear those 3 dots, the rule is all 3 of these dots should be touching one another, which they are. If 1 dot is way out here, then the bite's going to be incorrect. So you can just grab one of the dots by left clicking on it and just drag it directly over that. As long as those dots are touching, you're golden. You don't have to do anything else. Now we want to manually align the upper arch. So now we have the upper model and the upper bite, and what we're going to do is just scroll in and same principle. 3 dots, model and model, and what we want to do is nice distinctive areas on all 3 of those areas. So I can see a nice point right here and a nice point right there. So I'm going to click 1 point, 1 point. Another spot there, and I'm going to go to that cuspid and that cusp tip right there. You can see this nice groove right here. I'm going to click right there, and I'm going to click right here. And now it's going to give you 3 points. All 3 dots are touching one another. So now everything's good on here. Now you can go into next, and it's going to say alignment results. Is this the correct occlusion? I know it is, but you can go in here and you can verify that that occlusion is correct. Occlusion is correct. Everything's nice. Now you can go into next. This is where you're going to individually scan the die. This is allowing separation of tooth, tooth, and die. You want to open this up. If your die is cut very close to your adjacent teeth, you want to remove a segment of that, and you want to remove the tooth without scraping the margins against the adjacent teeth so you're not interfering with the look of the die. At that point in time, you're just going to take your plate, and it doesn't matter how this goes on the plate. You can have it sideways, you can have it backward, doesn't matter, because this is going to create a 360-degree scan and it's going to align it directly over that image. So you just open that up, place the plate back in, close the door. At that point in time, it's going to scan that individual die and it's going to overlay it directly to the die that's actually on the screen. So now that you have that done, you can actually look at that die and see that that looks pretty good. And I can guarantee with me pulling this out, you're going to see a little divot hole there. You can see all these little spots on it. And that's how well this scan does. So all you're doing is taking this open and you're just pulling this out. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a nice hole right there. That's how well it scans the image. All you're doing at that point in time is putting your die back on, placing this back on, putting that right back into the scanner, closing the door, and now you can actually trim the die if you want to, but I don't want to trim that. And I can look at the alignment, and that alignment should be right over. You can see the gray directly over that area, and you can see that everything's nice and clean, and you can see everything nicely. So all you're going to do now is go into next. And you're going to see a little separation here, but that is not a big deal because the separation is not changing the die position. It's just overlaid the scan die directly to the original scan. That's all we care about. Once that's done, we can go right into design. But because we're only scanning on these computers and you're going to be designing on a separate computer, we're going to close this down. All you're going to do is there's a little X at the top right. All you're going to do is hit that X. It says save and close. Do you want to close the scan? Yes. Just hit OK. It's going to close this down. And once it gets done looking at this, it's saying scanning, and you can see where it's showing a percentage of it being done. Once that 100%'s fixed there, it should pop off here in a second. I'm going to close that now. There we go. And you can see once that's done saving, this little status went from scanning to scanned. Every time you close this down, it should save this automatically. So right now, your job is scanned. This is where you're going to transfer to another computer for the designing phase of the project.